what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. I would like to know why none of the O-line responded when Jayden Daniels took that shot. Stop acting like a bunch of wimps. We need some dogs on the team, like Brandon Taylor, Tyrann Mathieu. Dallas Turner should have been laid out. So, I want to be clear on the offensive line. The offensive line was great. In fact, they were really making some statements early on that 4th and 1. We can get into it. I think I would have loved to see a simple run there, but like whatever. So, the point is, this is a tough offensive line. This is a physically dominant offensive line, but I do agree, and let's talk about the Dallas Turner hit, because it seems to be one of the main debate points of the entire game. I do agree that I needed to see an O-lineman just get a 15-yarder there, you know, whether it's just a straight-up punch that's going to get you ejected. Even in the very least, I needed to see some hold-me-back chest bumping. You know, at least, like, if you want to avoid the penalty, like a in the face, like, holding your arms back so you don't get penalized, but, like, maybe a little, like, light little headbutt. You had to see something. And as far as thoughts on no response from the O-line?
Oh, yeah, you got to respond. I mean, and that's your quarterback, that's your leader, that's your best player. And, you know, a shot that draws a penalty flag like that and ultimately knocks him out of the game, yeah. Look, is it smart football to go get 15 yards? No. But, look, at the end of the day, we're all meatheads, and you got to stick up for your guy. I was surprised that you didn't see somebody.
And because these are some tough. Like this O-line's not soft. Like, that's the thing. These are some tough, good players. And it just, I was just surprised. But you know what? That becomes a coaching point. And now, like, in the future, if that ever happens again, I imagine that you would see this O-line respond, because, again, I think that they're very good. As far as the shot itself goes, look, should it have been targeting? I would say yes. Ejected from the game, sure. And just know that my take comes from the fact that I was a dirty player, okay? And I liked to get in cheap shots and all that kind of stuff. And so my perspective is probably skewed here. But I quote tweeted a tweet from the Mic'd Up podcast, who I love their social media. They do an awesome job. Mic'd Up's cool. Go check them out. But it was something along the line of like, this, and it's a debate that me and Matt had on Whiskey and Wine Saturday. Like, this was so dirty by Dallas Turner, just an awful football play and all this other stuff. And to me, I'm like, does it suck that it was my guy, my hero, JD5 on the receiving end of it? Absolutely. But it is football. What did we talk about on Friday? I had a whole spiel about violence and how you're allowed to be violent. You're like, I don't know many great players that when they're lining up to hit a guy have ever thought, I better hit this guy kind of soft. Like, I better hit him correctly. Like, when you go to hit someone, you go to inflict maximum damage. That's the game. And that's exactly what Dallas Turner did. So you can be mad at the refs, but I'm not really mad at Dallas Turner. I want my players to do that same thing. I wish somebody would have lined up Jalen Milroe and stuck their crown of the helmet underneath his chin and broke his jaw. Like, as bad as that sounds, that is football. That is the game. So I'm not mad at Turner. I'm upset maybe that, you know, a call wasn't made even after being reviewed, but that's just the game.
And two, like, I don't think Dallas Turner lined up and said, on this play, I am going to, you know, hurt Jayden Daniels. Like, it became a football play. But it also became targeting. And it became like, if you want to go by it, and look, I'm not the biggest fan of targeting. If they'd have called on offensive players, I wouldn't have played. I wouldn't have had a career. It's just what it is. But, I mean, it is what it is, and that's what it was. Did it change the outcome of the game? Probably not. Probably not. At that point, the game was what the game was. There was other calls, honestly, that I'm more upset about in the game. Horse collaring and a hold on Harold Perkins on the play where Milroe, just shoots it out to the running back and it goes for 40.
Bro, so I didn't catch that live, but that was one of the main things. And I didn't want to, post it because I don't.
Yeah, after losses.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. I'm not trying to complain about the refs as the difference, but my God, Harold Perkins got it was
arm around and then a jersey
and then
pull.
It was two different holds. It was bad.
And even the offensive lineman.
He looked at and Perkins immediately went to the ref and was like, "Bro, what are you watching here?"
Yeah, I mean, even the offensive lineman, you could tell like he was dapping Perkins up the next play, like, I got away with one.
Well, anytime you see the O-line like kind of checking for the flag, like, huh? That's when you know.
I mean, it looked, those holding calls were pivotal because, I mean, you got one against Will Campbell, and I understand what Will was doing. I mean, scramble, and his arm got caught there. I mean, that was a drive killer for you, and the difference in the game was 2 drives and 2 really offensive penalties because you had to be perfect in this game. Yeah. But, look, I don't know that the SEC will come out if they reviewed that and still like didn't want to make a call.
No, they
no. That's what I'm saying. If they do that and they still don't want to make a call, you got to explain it to me. You got to explain it to me because it's just it is a roulette wheel at this point.
Yeah.
And like the Devin White one years ago when he got it in 2018, and then that's not. It's like, okay, like we got to figure this out. We got to be better about this. Like you have to explain to me why you did not call that. Again, it goes back to you, and I know you hate it. I need that head referee, right, to explain to me why that was not targeting. Yeah. I need it can be, he can talk to Ross Dellinger after the game. I don't even need it on video. But hey, Mr. Referee, sir, by the way, that I've never seen, looks like they went and found you before the game.
Hey, hold on. Do you know his last name?
I'm sure it's something country.
Gotro. He's from Lafayette. So the whole time, that was one of the funnier parts about being a Don Juan Saturday. Every time LSU had a call that went their way, we started chanting, "Go, Tro, go." And then, like, the constantly on the game, it's like, "Go, Tro, come on.
Okay.
We need you. What are you doing? You're supposed to be on our side."
Well, Mr. Gotro, like, I need you to give Ross Dellinger 30 seconds on why that was not. And then I'm good. I'm still mad, but I'm good. Hey, here's what we saw. Here's why we did not call it, and that's why I hate it. There's no transparency. You don't have to answer to your mistakes, and I've got to answer to all of them.
Fonz Fondrelli says they held all night in the middle. Jefferson and Smith were actually beating the O-line to get held in so many when Miller broke out. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. It was really solid on the interior of the Alabama offensive line. And were the blocks sticky? Yes. Like that's part of the problem. That's been part of the problem with Mason Smith all year long is it's all too sticky for him right now. But it was hands inside stickiness. When guys were running away, they weren't holding on longer than your kind of that little split second of just like slow them down a little bit. Like I just don't agree. I don't think it was.
Lars inside the chat. Are we done with the Jayden Daniels Heisman hype? I hope that's just saying like I hope that you're asking that because they lost and not that you don't believe that it's worthy of hype.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody emerged from this game being like, oh, Jayden Daniels.
I sure hope not because he was the reason that you had any chance in this game. He was by far your best player. Yet again, grades out over 90% on Pro Football Focus. He kept you in this game. He played like a Heisman front runner in this game, but he won't be there because egregiously bad on the other side.
He could maybe still find his way to New York. But he's gonna have to play, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to play this week. You know. But if he does, and he balls out these final 3 games, you're 9-3, like, he could maybe find his way. I'm not closing the door, but winning it, no. Winning it, not going to happen. Shout out to Natalie Noel, $5 super chat. Our girl, Natalie, of course, Noel Family Distillery. I got doctor's clearance and a plan of how to do my medication on Saturday, to drink on Saturday. Meaning I got to get delicious Natalie Noel tequila all up in my body all night long. Natalie says, it felt like the offensive game plan coming out of halftime was flat. JD5 seemed to stop running. Also, thoughts, why didn't they come out of halftime it was flat? I mean, you came out and you immediately scored. It made it 28-21. But then, like Jake said, that's when you ran into, you had some I mean, it's this, to me, again, it's just like the Florida State game, where when we're talking about a 2nd and 17 drop that would have set up a 3rd and 5, when we're talking about that drop feeling like the difference in the game, that is not actually a commentary on the offense. It is a commentary on how thin the margin of error for the offense is. Like that should not be the difference. And yet it does loom large because your defense just allows you no room for any error. And again, there was a stretch in this game, Jake.
It's the first time, to your point, that I could feel them almost feel like they had to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's the first time that I've had that feeling from the offense. And they've had games where they've had to be, basically. I mean, Ole Miss game, they would have had to be perfect. Missouri game, they kind of had to do that. But you could tell, I think, a little bit here in this one, they knew what the situation was.
So there was a this is some fascinating stuff here, guys. When I talk about defensive collapse, allow me to apply some numbers to it. So it was 28-21, Jake, with 9 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Alabama has 3rd and 10. They drop a million guys, and let me see exactly what happened on this third down here. All right, so okay, here it is, 3rd and 10, 9:19 left. This was the worst example of everybody dropping 30 yards deep into coverage, and bad rush by Deshaun Womack on the edge. He goes way too far upfield. Mason Smith's trying to rush down the middle. He's double team. He's just like, it's just a giant gap. 16-yard scramble. First down. Okay, so that's it. 3rd and 10, third quarter there when that happens. Alabama does not have another third down until it's 42-28 with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Yep. So a full quarter of football where you started up 7 and you don't force even another third down until it's 42-28. As if that's not bad enough, Jake. If you look at the consecutive streak of converted third downs, of which the scramble was in there, you have the Greg Penn TFL, which causes the missed field goal, and that's when it's at 14-all. Then you allow 7 consecutive third down conversions that bookend that stretch of not even forcing a third down.
Yeah.
So you are talking about a massive chunk of the game in which you never got off the field and you never even got into situations to get off the field from when they had 14-42. Just an and that's where I arrive at the absolute defensive collapse.
Yeah, and you had limited possessions in the second half, and again, you had to be perfect. You go down there, you score, and then everything T's talking about, like when you have the ball, you feel like you're pressing, and you have to make every single one of those plays because you had to be, yet again, perfect. And when you drop a pass, that's going to set you up for a manageable third down. Like, you can't do that. Then you have one where, look, Dallas Turner makes a good play, gets his hands on the football.
Yeah, that's just
interception.
a good defensive play. What are you going to do?
Look, what'd he do? He stopped rushing.
Yeah.
He realized, okay, Will Campbell's got me beat. I'm going to stop rushing. I'm going to put my hands up, led to a turnover. And, I mean, every possession that you had. And then, look, rough game for Charles Turner. And I'd love to get your perspective on that. He had 3 double clutches. And, look, one, they were going to go for it on 4th down. Did they get it? I don't know. But he had another one, and then they have to punt because it went from 4th and 10 to 4th and 15. And they said, well, we got to punt.
Yeah, it was that felt like, Jake, and you can appreciate this, some days as a player you can get into a bit of a tailspin, and there were low snaps all night long.
On the 4th down, there was a low snap.
The double clutches, it just look there. It was, you got to give credit to your opponent, okay? And those are opponent forced errors. I don't even view this like tennis. I wouldn't even call it an unforced error. That's crowd noise. That's the threat of that giant nose guard lining up across from you, getting to you a bit. And so I mean, I'm not saying it excuses Charles Turner. What I'm saying is he was outclassed by the situation and the player in front of him. And he's a very good player, but sometimes you have bad nights, and he had a bad night.
I mean, so that took a possession. I mean, again, you're going for it on 4th and 10, but that went from trying to convert to giving the football back to Alabama, and so that was another reason. And then on the last drive that you had. Right? I mean, Nussmeier comes in there, plays well on the drive, and you hit Malik on the sideline. It was a tough catch, right? Couldn't look like the DB was in front of him, but one, certainly after you saw his reaction that he knows he can make and has to make.
Yeah, and
if he catches that, I would have loved to seen what happens if he gets upfield.
Taylor pointed out there were a few drops. How many? Who? I mean, everybody had one pretty much.
I counted 3 from Malik. Thomas had one. Lacey had one that would have been a first down. Mason Taylor had a huge one. Even Diggs, I mean, I understand the ball was tipped, but the swing route hit him in the hands. I mean, it seemed like every receiver you threw the ball to had at least one drop on Saturday.
And look at Jayden's stats are still great.
That's something that's so uncharacteristic of this team. I mean, everybody has been so solid. Lacey had drops early in the year, but the last 2 or 3 weeks, even he's picked it up. And I mean, it's a big game. You can't afford to do it.
And Malik Neighbors had one of the best catches I've ever seen.
Yeah, he did.
The catch and throw on the, I just got goosebumps. On the outside where his foot is hanging out of bounds and then like slips back in was.
Even your boy Gary's like, oh, his foot's going to oh my God, it didn't.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.